Measuring and attributing success. This is the first part of a 4-part series where, man, this, I don't know about you guys, but what you track is what grows, and what you focus on, what grows. You've heard me say this, you know this, I know this, we all do this at some level in our life. Man, I'm not gonna lie. Within the last 30 days, 30, 5 days, 40 days or so, in my food, in my workout routine, in business, in time spent with my family and kid, like if I'm not tracking things, I'm not showing up the way that I need to. And when I show up the way that I need to, life is just magically better. Measuring and attributing success. This is the first part of a 4-part series. What you track is what grows, and what you focus on, what grows. You've heard me say this, you know this, I know this, we all do this at some level in our life. Man, I'm not gonna lie. Within the last 30 days, 30, 5 days, 40 days or so, in my food, in my workout routine, in business, in time spent with my family and kid, like if I'm not tracking things, I'm not showing up the way that I need to. And when I show up the way that I need to, life is just magically better, like a lot better. And it's really not harder. It's just having good data and making good decisions. And so I'm excited to jump into measuring and attributing success with you, because it will produce the same result for you, because it's how it works. In fact, we at FlowChat internally made another investment in our own systems for tracking every single marketing effort all the way through, like the whole customer journey, where they came from, the whole process and touch points of who's following up and how many calls, when they convert, how much money they're spending. So we have different user segmentations, member segmentation. And then beyond that, like what's their customer journey for delivery? Building this infrastructure takes both time and money and skill. And so we're having some teams help us with this, all for measuring and attributing. So these are things that we're doing both personally and professionally. And we get to talk about some cool ones today with you. And it starts with a story. Here's one of my biggest pet peeves. I can't, like Sean hates pigeons. Chris hates musty, smelly bed sheets. Like, like when you take them out and you have to go change your bed, that's already a thing. You're like, all right, got to change the sheets again. When you pull out the sheets and that waft just hits you in the face, you're like, I already don't want to do this. Now I'm doing this. And I'm not even gonna get a reward at the end of this. It's just gonna smell all musty and whatever. Is anyone else like clean smelling sheets? Is someone with me in here? All right. So big pet peeve. All right. Smelly sheets. But there's an answer. And the answer, ladies and gentlemen, is Frey. Frey is a laundry detergent sheet, but this isn't just any type of laundry detergent. It's the kind that smells awesome first and foremost. It has no plastic. They plant a new tree every time you buy one of these boxes. So they're taking great care of the earth, which my hippie wife loves. And so she's happy. I'm happy. Things smell great. And their branding is great. I'm reading the back of this box. This is a recent discovery in the Baden household. I'm just happy that my pet peeve will now be sent to the grave. And my wife, we haven't been using any like fragrances because there's chemicals and all these things. It's like, can't we just have a little chemical to make our lives smell way better? Anyway, so this has been a conversation we've had for years, like a decade. And Frey has finally arrived and life is finally better. Now, here's the thing. All I need to do is I just had to add one sheet into the washer. I was one sheet away from adding it to a washer for the last decade, and my pet peeve would have been destroyed. My whole environment has changed. My sheets now smell amazing. There is a happy ending to the story, and it is what you thought. It's clean smelling sheets, okay? I start each day with a smile on my face because my sheets smell great. I go to bed every night being like, oh man, this bed's extra cozy because everything smells amazing around me. And you're like, wow, Chris got a lot of passion around the freaking pet peeve musty sheets. Yeah, it's been a minute over here without some little bit of chemical to make life smell better. All right. So why am I ranting on about Frey? Because the Frey for your business is custom reporting. It's knowing what the hell is going on. It is that much better. The pet peeve of not knowing what's going on, which is the main problem. You got problems everywhere. You feel overwhelmed. You're like, I got all these things to do. Plates are spinning everywhere. Do I do this? You start doing it, then you get pulled away in all these other directions, and super annoying, and you feel like you're getting nowhere and life sucks. All right. It is the map of darkness that you can't solve, and you feel like you can never get ahead and catch your breath. All right. The answer is these 4 key KPIs. It's custom reporting, but simplified to only 4 things. If you look at these things, it's like in the fitness side, it's like, are you consuming less calories than you're burning per day? That's only one KPI. But if you know that one thing, it's a huge indicator of how you manage life and weight. I'm not saying it's everything. I'm not a fitness guru, but everyone, even for the non-gurus, like everyone's, I'm eating 5,000 calories above what I burn per day, and I'm gaining weight, doc. What's happening? Like everyone knows that's the KPI to pay attention to. So these are the 4 KPIs. You can take a screenshot. This works in every single sales process. Wow, Chris, are you sure? Every single, yes. Long sales cycles, short sales cycles, enterprise industry, SMB market, mid-market, whatever. Take a screenshot. These are the 4 KPIs. You might be looking at this and being like, well, booked calls. Chris, I don't do book calls. If you're watching this or checking the recording, it's okay. Maybe do webinars. And guess what? Instead of booked calls, you have registrations. Instead of show up rate, you have attendance rate. Basically, if you look at these 4 buckets, did you get a response? Was there some type of consensual agreement, registration, opt-in, and our next one here, VSLs, right? Maybe you're sending someone through a funnel. Was there some type of response? Was there some type of opt-in? And then once someone opts in, did they watch? Did they consume? Did they spend time with you? Were they nurtured at all in any capacity? That's the 3rd step. And then 4thly, did they close? Did they buy anything? These are the 4 KPIs that are involved in every single sales process, industry, whatever. All right. So you got some screenshots of these. Just knowing sometimes it's like, well, what do I talk about with my setters? What do I talk about with my closers? If I'm in the marketing department, Chris, what KPIs should we pay attention to? How do I know we're on the right path? And when you hear things like, oh, it's going to be better, or things are good, or we're getting a lot of leads, that means nothing. It means nothing to you. You can't, what decision can you make from that? What does good mean? Does that mean a 20% increase in revenue? Does that mean it doesn't give you any information. However, these 4 KPIs that we're going to cover do give you clear information, and they also let you know exactly what your next steps need to be. There's no guesswork. When they allow you to do the real work, so there's no more guesswork, no more map of darkness, no more overwhelm. In fact, these KPIs also give you permission. Well, I got to do this, respond to this, I got all these things. Guess what? These numbers tell you what is factually most important and gives you permission to prioritize the one thing over everything else. And yeah, some plates might drop. They might even break and cause a mess, but it's okay. Because if you solve the most important mess, it'll save and help and move the business forward the most. You guys with me? So let's break it down. Here are the 4 KPIs. Hopefully, hopefully everyone has seen this at this point. But these are the ones that are stated. We're going to walk through this slide together and then I have a couple more after this. But I want to walk through the slide together so you know how to, number 1, set up custom reporting. That should be the outcome of today for your own business and sale and pipeline. And then number 2, you know actually what you're looking for. When you look at your KPIs, this literally should not take any more than 3 seconds. You should be able to glance at this and know exactly what it means and what to do within seconds. If it's taking you more than that to manage team and do the thing, you are working way too hard, which some of you might be really excited to hear today. Okay, so let me grab this little tool here. We're going to walk through this together. Okay, so we've got the response rate over here. Notice right here, we've got 10 to 40%. There's so much built-in failure in sports. There's so much built-in failure in business, but sometimes that failure just, is too emotional for people to continue on. Here's an example. If you reach out, if we're in baseball and, you take, you have 100 at bats and you get on base 30 times, or we could even do 10. You get on base 3 times, that's 30%. You're a pro. You're an awesome pro. You're like, top of the top, MLB in like the league, right? But you still fail 7 times. There's 7 other times that you got told no and that you suck. In business, listen, if you get told 9 times, if you get told 8 times, 7 times, ironically, the numbers are roughly the same. Isn't that crazy? But some people hear that and be like, it's not working. It doesn't feel quite right. And maybe I should try a different way. That's actually a green light. Like you should double, triple down on what's happening because you're headed the right direction. But that's not always instinctual. When you don't know the whole process, you don't know that. All right. So look, if you do 1,400 outreaches and you get 230 to respond, that's a 16% response rate. That tells us we're within range. Proceed to next step, right? You pass go, you collect $200. Like go to the next step. All right. So the book rate, now we're aiming for 20 to 50% acceptance rate. So we're simply just taking the desired outcome, which is book calls, divided by the effort. It's that same formula throughout the whole thing. Take desired amount, desired outcome or the outcome that occurred and divide it by the amount of attempts. So outcome divided by attempts, oversimplified. Hey, we got 37. We're still in the go range between 20 to 50%. Proceed to the next step. You guys get the pattern, right? Now, this one's higher, 70 to 90% show rate, because the people that have gotten further here, they've already committed. We just want them to follow through. If you have quality leads and identified a quality pain point, you're going to have a great show rate. If you failed to have a quality offer or pain point, then a lot of people have like a 40% show rate, a 60% show rate, which can still work, but man, it's really discouraging when you can get a lot higher one. In this case, we had an 88% show rate, and so it's right on path to keep going to the next one. Lastly, we have the close rate, 10 to 40%. Again, outcome divided by effort, and it's 23%. Now, cold to sold, 20% is great. If this was, referral, then, we're talking like 60% or higher. But for cold to sold, around the 20%, listen, all systems go. Let's pour some more, money, effort, time through this campaign, and we'll all come out on top. Okay, so this right here, having this set up, everyone should have this set up in their account, and this simplifies everything. And we're gonna walk through what happens when all the numbers here aren't the right numbers. What do we do? And that's what I want to show you guys next. There we go. So how do we troubleshoot some of these things? Here's what we have. First, on response rate, if you're getting a 2% response rate, a 3%, 5% response rate, maybe even a 10% response rate, you're like, I think we can do a little better here. The two things you want to be thinking about are lead quality or messaging copy. Who am I approaching, and what am I, how am I approaching them? What am I saying to them? Those are the two simple things. It's not rocket science. Like it's just kind of that simple. You might have a great message and nobody's seeing it. You might have a great message and you're sending it to the wrong person, right? Hey, let's go swimming, and the person's like afraid of sharks and never wants to go in the water, and I don't know, watches movies all the time. Like no matter what you say to the person, they're just not the right fit. Okay. On the lead quality, where are you finding these people? Think through, shoot, how did I get all these names and people that have the wrong title, or maybe are in the wrong industry? We got to support the team in getting the right leads. Now, check this out. I was on a different training call earlier this week, and the guy was like, this is the part of your business that you should not outsource. Hang with me on this. And what he meant is, certainly initially, he's like, if you screw up your lead quality, every part of your business is now broken. Like, do not skip over lead quality, where you're finding the people and how qualified they are. Because if they don't meet that bucket in the beginning, everything else will be broken. Either one, nobody buys and your business goes out of business, or sometimes even worse, they do buy. You don't have the systems to support them and actually help them out. So they consume a bunch of time and energy and resource. Then they churn, costing even more money. And now you're it's like a slow death. It's been dragged out even longer, right? So this is a really, really big part of the business to nail properly. All right, next one, booked call rate. Hey, Chris, I got great leads. I got great messaging, and we're getting 50%, 70% response rate. Everyone loves us, Chris. That's cool. Nobody's booking a call. If that's the case, we want to look at the strategy or strategic questions and leading questions. If we're this is really common. People are like, okay, I found the right people, and they're just afraid to ask, or they don't know how to like pivot the conversation, so they just chat forever until it just gets cold. Usually we have, about 1 to 3 back and forth questions or interactions before enough social equity is built, and we can go for the ask. Okay, but being that that's the case, they need to be strategic. What's an example of this? Just on the FlowChat side, if I'm communicating, with a marketing agency, and they're looking to grow their business, asking, hey, how do you use social media, is a great leading question. I'm not asking like, hey, do you need help with your DMs? Like, that's a little direct. Hey, do you want to run a CRM for your DMs or more pipelines and import? Like, it's a little, like, whoa, I don't know that I know you and that well, and I don't know if I like this or whatever. It's just not quite the right timing. However, if you're like, hey, I saw some of your, content recently, or it looks like you're making some social media efforts. What's working great for you right now? And they're going to start talking about it. And then maybe you get into what's not working so well. Those are two, one is what's working, one is what's not working. They're going to just share and fill in what they think about on a daily basis, but you're already right in the pocket of the type of conversation you want to have. Those are leading and strategic questions. Okay, next one is show rate. Show up rate. Hey, they booked a call. They said they wanted to talk. Why are they ghosting me? How many times have you guys been ghosted? Someone reschedules and changes the thing. Like, not fun, right? Well, in this case, we want to look up at our follow-up systems and also just kind of reflect on what's in it for them. Did I really nail that part? Every step of the sales process is sales. Every step of the sales process is sales. We're always leading, we're always selling. In the beginning, it's selling them on why they should respond to us. Then it's selling them on why we should even consider spending more time together. Then it's selling them on, jumping on a call, going to a thing, and, learning, trusting us enough to learn something from us or spend even more time with us, right? And then it's eventually trusting us not just with their time, but also with their money. So we need to sell them on why that makes sense and how it's going to make their life better, what's in it for them. And likewise, when we're creating that process, need to be insanely mindful of, is it actually worth it for them, and design and create one that is. All right. So on the follow-up systems, what does this look like? Well, on the follow-up systems, definitely having at least one confirmation message. When they do an action, reward it immediately with a message saying, hey, thanks for doing that. Hey, I got this confirmed. So great. Excited to chat later. Acknowledge, right? Don't leave them wondering, I signed up. Did it actually go through? I haven't got the calendar invite yet. Like, always send the reminders, notifications, some type of affirmation and communication immediately after. We've gone back and forth with how many touch points you should send. On best practice could be sending one 24 hours before, and then maybe another one 10 minutes before as a helpful reminder with the link. That would be an example of a quality follow-up system, making it convenient for them to access the information, remember that they had a conversation. So, yeah. And then what's in it for them? we always want to identify their pain points. Hey, when they spend their time with us, what do they get on the call, whether they buy something or not? Well, an example of this was one that I put together earlier today, even. I said, hey, I did this custom video for a group of people, showing them, two exact steps that they can do in their processes to, double, triple sales kind of thing. And just like we have. And hey, if you want to customize this to your exact business, we saw our systems, but if you want to customize this to your business, then grab a time with one of our experts. What you're going to get is a way to hunt for your ICP, and you're also going to get, the exact follow-up process that aligns with your brand, right? There's 100 different ways to do this, but you need the one that actually gives you the most leverage, and that's what they're going to focus on. So you're going to get those two things out of the call. It's very clear, right? Which brings us to the closing rate. When the closing rate's down, usually it's one of the two. It's value or clarity. Value or clarity. What are the two greatest? There's usually 5 objections, but what are the 2 most common objections? Time, money. I don't have time. Don't have money. You know what's funny is every single person that you talk to on every single call has both time and money, even if they tell you they don't. It's really getting through those like smoke screens, getting through those objections, and understanding really what you're dealing with. Well, Chris, how do you know? They might be really busy. How do you know they have time? Because they're alive, because they were given life, because they have a heartbeat and a pulse right now. That's why I know they have time. They literally have it. And then, money, that's a value. It's not money, it's value. If I was like, hey, can I sell you this $1 bill today? And when you buy this $1 bill, you're going to get $1 million for it. Wait a minute. You mean if I give you $1, you're going to give me $1 million? Yes, that's correct. Would you like that deal today? Oh my gosh. How do I pay you as fast as possible? The value is insane. They would beg, cheat, lie, and steal just to get that deal. I'm like, take my dollar. I'll send you $3, like on all the methods just to make sure you get the dollar. You know what I mean? So I can have $1 million today. That'd be awesome. So it always comes down to value and understanding that. For me, that thought gives a lot of confidence, because when I talk to anybody, I have something to give them. And the question is, can I find their greatest pain point that they actually care about? And can I communicate it in a way where the value is clear? I don't feel like I have to hard sell anybody, because I feel like I'm selling and talking about the right thing. I'm more so focused on, am I explaining it okay? I don't know. In my head, it just sits better. But that gets to the last point, which is clarity. It's clear to us, we know all our jargon, but is it clear to them? So gosh, what's a fun example of this one? There was one that I was talking, another call I was on, and he was describing the pain that he was feeling, and all the steps and work that he had to do to solve it. But once he solved it, it was the best feeling ever. And rather than me talk about all the steps he was going to have to do with FlowChat in order to like get the system installed and get like the outcome that he desired, I said, you know how you shared that story with me earlier? And he felt it was awesome and it was totally worth it. He's like, yeah. That's exactly what this is going to be. That's an example of like, it's just a story recall. And it's a technique you can use. It's called a story recall. You can use this technique in order to emotionally close and sell somebody on an idea or a thing without having to say anything about your process or detail or thing. Because the reality is this: recall your own processes and systems right now. If your prospect knows every intricate step, 17-step process or whatever it is, just like you know it, even if you told it to them today on the sales call, are they going to remember it tomorrow, that alone, when the onboarding call is, or when it comes time to implementing? Not even close. Not even close, right? So you're going to have to say it all over again anyway. What matters at that point is making sure that it's the right fit, and then just making sure there's enough emotional clarity and buy-in that they're going the right direction. So sometimes a story recall can be the fastest way that they can understand what you already know in a way that they understand it. Closing rate. If you have the value, if you can communicate the value and have the clarity, your closing rate will skyrocket. All right, cool. So that's some troubleshooting. So today we got to cover the 4 KPIs. If all you do is have the customer, by the way, the customer report tracks all this automatically. This is like, we can talk about this in the Q&A section next. We can set this up or modify it so it's right for you. And then you're just looking at these 4 conversions. And if they're in the right ranges, you move on your day. If one of them's offset, then you just go to troubleshooting to one of these 2 things for each section. You know exactly what you're implementing, and you know exactly like, hey, I'm at 10%, I need to get to 15%. And with, this many extra touch points, we're expecting it to go up in the next 3 to 4 days. It's so clear and dialed in that you'll have everything you need. So